Good afternoon. Thank you for joining us for the Women's Achievement Recognition Program of 2015. This year marks 5 years that we have been celebrating Women's History Month with the Women's Achievement Program. My name is Jordan Myrick, and I am the Women's Achievement Committee Chairperson and Vice President of Alpha Mu Beta. On behalf of the Alpha Mu Beta Service Fraternity and the Student Government Association, I would like to thank you for joining us today. We are proud to bring you today's event in honor of Forsyth Tech women who have inspired students at the college. Today's program is meant to uplift, inspire, and remind each of us of our ability to be an inspiration to others, no matter who you are. At this time, Holly Rowe will introduce you to the 2015 Women Achievement honorees.
Hello. I would like to thank each of you for being with us today as we celebrate Women's History Month by paying tribute to a few of Forsyth Tech's own outstanding women. This is the 5th annual Women's Achievement Program. It is a time when we recognize and celebrate the diverse and historic accomplishments of women. From the honorees to the speaker of today's program, we are celebrating the instrumental role in which women play in leadership and service to others. As I stated earlier, this marks the 5th year that Forsyth Tech has celebrated women's achievement. The Women's Achievement Program began with the vision of Tamara Lowry. Ms. Lowry, if I could just get you to stand up to be recognized, please. Thank you. Ms. Lowry was a Forsyth Tech pre-nursing student who transferred to Gardner-Webb University to pursue a bachelor's degree in nursing. She wanted to acknowledge women at Forsyth Tech who helped her to rise above adversity and become a forward thinker who takes action. We are proud that 5 years later, we are still celebrating this event of distinction, so thank you. Today's Women's Achievement Program will honor 6 Forsyth Tech women who have exceeded the call of duty to serve others and have ultimately changed someone else's life. Each honoree has been nominated by a student and then chosen from a large number of nominations by a selection committee of student leaders. These 6 women have set a positive example for students and proven themselves to be excellent role models. They have impacted the lives of my peers and influenced us in a way that can never be repaid. This is our way of saying thank you. Thank you, thank you. We appreciate you, and your work has not gone unnoticed. Before we introduce this year's honorees, we would like to take a moment to recognize any past Women's Achievement honorees who may be with us today. So if you are a past honoree, would you please stand and be recognized now? Thank you. And we would also like to recognize the members of this year's Women's Achievement Committee or those who have assisted the committee. Would you also please stand to be recognized? Thank you. And now I would like to read the names of the 2015 Women's Achievement honorees. The student recipients are Ms. Jasmine Harris, Associates in Arts, College Transfer. Ms. Jordan Myrick, Associate in Arts, College Transfer. The staff recipients are Ms. Fran Cook, Principal, Early College of Forsyth. Ms. Carrie Walters, Retention Manager, Health Technologies. The faculty recipients are Ms. Diane Griffin, Instructor, Business Information Technologies. Ms. Karen Weevil, Instructor, Early College of Forsyth. Congratulations to each and every one of you, and thank you for all of your hard work. Please, let's give them another round of applause.
Dr. Laura Yanazzi is the Division Chair of Humanities and Social Sciences at Guilford Technical Community College, where she provides strategic and innovative leadership to support the success of college transfer and career technical students attending her institution. Prior to that, she served as a Senior Assessment Coordinator here at Forsyth Technical Community College. As a faculty of Psychology, Department of Chair Human of Human Services and Assistant Dean of Art, Science, and Education at Davidson County Community College. She has led cross-campus collaborations for the development and implementation of an honors program, service learning initiatives, and 2 quality enhancement plans designed to increase student success. Dr. Yanezi has participated in a faculty exchange program with Universidad Internacional in Cuernavaca, Mexico, and generated opportunities for students through her work with Student Government Association, Ambassador Program, and Habitat for Humanity's Collegiate Challenge. In addition to creating opportunities for students, she has designed and facilitated numerous leadership development opportunities for faculty and staff, ranging from one-hour conference sessions to multi-day retreats. She has worked as a facilitator with the North Carolina Community College Leadership Program on topics such as strategic planning, leadership, and communication. She received her EDD in Higher Education and Organizational Change from Benedictine University, resulting in her dissertation Community College Female Faculty Transitioning to Leadership Positions, a phenomenological study of liminality of professional life worlds and identities. Prior to her work at Benedictine, she earned her Bachelor's of Arts in Psychology from Marshall University and her Master's of Arts in Psychology from the University of North Carolina at Greensboro, where she completed her thesis, Maternal Sensitivity During Infancy, Stability and Correlates of Change. A Texas native, she fell in love with North Carolina when she moved to the state to pursue her master's degree. She resides in Winston-Salem, North Carolina, with her husband Dave and 3 children, Philip, Brewer, and Max. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Dr. Laura Yanezi. Thank you.
Thank you for that introduction, and I apologize for all the hard to pronounce words, including my name. As she mentioned, I am Laura Yanezi. I am now at Guilford Technical Community College, but until recently was here at Forsyth, so I am very excited to see lots of familiar faces in the crowd. I am here today to also say congratulations and thank you to the people in the room who are being honored and the people in the room who have helped make a day like today possible. And it's a wonderful celebration and something that you don't see a lot of in the state. I think it's a Forsyth Tech thing, and it's a wonderful tradition. I hope it stays in place for many, many years to come. Give me just a second, I'm trying to get my notes up. So I am, at my heart, a psychology professor. And in psychology, we are fascinated with people, and I am fascinated with people and their stories, how different we are, how similar we are. And so over the last couple of years, I have spent my time studying specific stories, mainly women, who teach in community colleges and then decided, or maybe didn't decide, but found themselves transitioning from the classroom into leadership. And I wondered what happened to those women and what kind of experiences they went through. Because if you've ever seen someone in your life move from one job to another, sometimes they do great and they blossom, and some fall apart. And so I wondered what was happening to these women. Were they experiencing similar things? What would make them more likely to succeed? And so for a couple of years, I traveled throughout the state and interviewed women who had started as faculty and moved into what we call academic leadership, department chairs or dean positions, and talked to them about their experiences. And wound up with the biggest paper I've ever written in my life, topped out at 172 pages. And I'm proud of that, because I don't consider myself a writer, but I was able to pull that from within me. And what I learned was that, I learned a lot of things, but some of the things transcended those specific women. It wasn't just about women moving from one job to another. It was about women and the choices we face in our lives. And so what I want to talk to you a little bit about today are some of the things I've learned. And really, is it up there? Okay, now I need help. Thank you. See how easy that was? And really, it came down to essential questions that we face. And I know there are a lot of gentlemen in the room, and I'm glad you're here. And hopefully you'll find something in here that speaks to you as well. But the women face slightly different answers to these questions because we're judged differently. We can't just assume one path because we're judged through different lenses. So that's kind of where the talk came from, okay? My study that I did focused on something called liminality. Okay, and liminality is a concept that comes to us from anthropology, and it's actually what they use when they talk about a rite of passage. So if you think about a tribal community where you have a child who goes through a rite of passage and now they're transformed into an adult. Or if you think about in a religion where someone is viewed as a child in the church and then they go through this rite of passage or a rite of initiation and now they're viewed as an adult. Does that make sense? During that transition time, that's called a liminal period or a transitional period, liminality. And so I used that lens to look at these women. They were leaving behind one world, leaving behind their job that they knew and they were comfortable with, going through this transition and then coming out on the other side transformed and different. In this concept of liminality, if you can read my little bubbles, there in the middle you'll see two bubbles. One says instruction and one says exploration. As these women go through their transition, as they're in the process of transforming, two things are happening. They're receiving instruction from the world, from others around them about how they should be and what they should be. And they have an opportunity to explore, to try on different hats, to try out different points of view or different ways they think they want to be. And it's not until they can bring all those together that they're able to move out of that transition and emerge as this newly transformed person, okay? So today what we're going to do is I want to walk you through what I learned about these women. I'm going to walk you through the 3 questions that they kept coming back to. No matter where they were in that process, no matter how far along they were in that transformation, 3 questions that seem like they really wrestled with. Because I have a feeling if you're not already, it'll be something that you wrestle with too. And then we're also going to talk about what I call the sources of knowledge. And those deal with those bubbles. Where did these women find their instruction? Where did these women find their opportunities to explore and try on different things? And maybe that will give you some different ways to think about questions that you're facing in your own life, okay? So now you all know what liminality is. So the first question is by far the hardest. And it really boils down to this one thing. You have to figure this one out before you go any farther, and that's whose definition of right are you going to subscribe to? With the women I followed, they were moving into leadership. They were becoming bosses. They weren't just in charge of their students. Now they were in charge of students and other faculty members. And so there was always the pressure to do the right thing. And you have the same pressure in your life. The problem is there isn't one right thing, is there? Okay, very rarely. And the problem is we get a lot of messages from the outside world about what that right thing is. So the first step that all these women had to take, and it wasn't a one-time thing, they struggled with it for a while, was whose definition of right am I going to live up to? Whose expectations am I trying to meet? Who am I trying to make happy? And really at the end of the day, what is it that I am trying to accomplish? So up here in the corner we have a compass, because for me that was the best metaphor. Is your compass internal or is your compass external? For women who have that external compass, they're letting the world tell them what right means. Okay? They're letting other people, they're letting society say, this is what a leader does. This is what a woman does. And that's a really hard place to be in, because what do we know about the world? She cannot be satisfied, okay? In the society we live in, you can never be rich enough. You can never be smart enough. You can never be pretty enough. There's always somebody else one-upping you. And so that external compass leads to a lot of problems. So all the women in my study that went on to become very successful in their roles and in their careers had an internal compass. They decided for themselves what right looked like and what right was. And it's a hard thing to do, because we may think we're doing that, but that means we're going to have to shun that external voice, and we're going to have to walk that path even when we face resistance. But it was something they each struggled with. So some of the themes that emerged as the sources of knowledge, the first one was the idea of reaching out to the right people. The women I interviewed talked a lot about observational learning from the people around them. Who were the women that seemed to be doing really well in the ways they wanted to be doing well and reaching out to them. Who were the people that were not doing well that you knew you didn't want to be? Okay? And for most of the women, their list of I know what I don't want to be was just as long. Bad bosses, people in their life that weren't nice to them. We all have that list of I hope I never turn out like X, Y, and Z. And those are just as informative as reaching out to the people who are doing it in a way that you admire and getting some strength from them. And then I had one of my women share a story with me that really resonated, and it was this story of buffaloes in the storm. She said that was kind of her mantra that she would say to herself. If you've ever lived in the Midwest where everything's very flat, you can see storms rolling in an hour, 2 hours before they arrive. Here in Winston, the weather changes in 5 minutes. And it'll tell you on your phone that it's sunny, and it's not, okay? In the Midwest, it's not that way. You see it build, you see it coming, and there's that sense of apprehension. Well, buffalo roam those fields and those plains and the wide open spaces. And when they see that storm approaching, they don't hide from it. Instead, they run straight into it. The idea being, the quicker you get into it, the quicker you'll come out of it. And that had become a source of strength for her. And while she's the one who shared that story, every woman I talked to talked about the importance of being able to get through the hard situations. And not even just getting through them, but almost embracing them. Because the hard times are when you really learn. You learn about yourself, you learn about the people in your world, and you learn what you're made of. And every woman I talked to had the same phrase at some point in our interview. I'm stronger than I thought I was. I can handle more than I thought I could. Okay? And so that acknowledgement that there will be hard times, but also seeing them as opportunities to learn more about what do you think is right, what do you think is just, how will you carry forward. So then it's not just something you have to get through, it's something you're going to draw from and learn from. Make sense? Okay. So that's the first big challenge. Once the women move past that, then they're faced with their second one. So I have my sense of who I am, what I think is right. I'm in my new world, and I'm faced with the realization that what I thought it was going to be and what it really is are two very different things. As in every situation in life, the dream does not always perfectly translate to the reality. Okay? Think about when you were a teenager, thinking about growing up and getting married, and you'd never fight, and you'd have plenty of money, and then you hit adulthood and you got in that first long-term relationship. And while it was wonderful in some aspects, sometimes there are surprises, okay? Think about the new job you couldn't wait to get. While there were good parts about it, then there was the other stuff. And so every woman I interviewed talked about coming to that realization that there would be compromise, okay? There would have to be sacrifice. You don't always get everything on the list, so what are you willing to give up? Okay. One of the big themes that emerged was, again, I was studying women who left faculty and went into leadership. This notion of like it or not, this is what a leader does. They were all caught off guard by some of the less fun aspects, specifically the amount of paperwork that their life now involved. And it's funny when you talk to people who become police officers, they have the same complaint. I had no idea how much paperwork was involved. You go into it with a vision of what this amazing career is going to be like, and then you're hit with paperwork, okay? So no matter what choice you make in life, there's going to be that period of adjustment, that period of it's not all fun and glamorous. Yes, they still get to do those wonderful things they wanted to do, but there's a trade-off. Coming to terms with that. Another thing that emerged was this sense that they could not remain the same person they were and really grow in this new world. And that manifested itself in two ways. Physically, this feeling of, I need to go shopping. And I think this especially resonates with women. If you're a woman who's becoming a leader, you want to be taken seriously, you have to present yourself in a very different way than if you're a faculty member. In some ways, a faculty member wants to seem more approachable. As a leader, the way we cloak ourselves conveys a very specific message. So the women talked a lot about that. But regardless of whether you're going into leadership or any new role, the physical way you present yourself is going to need to change, okay? Along with that, their internal sense of self had to change a little bit. Specifically, they talked about the need for developing a thicker skin, okay? When you reach outside your box and you grow to become more, you open yourself up to a lot of criticism. And the world's ripe with it. And so you have to be able to bear that and know what to do with it. What do I take and learn from? What do I toss to the side? And so all the women in my study talked about that, okay? They also talked about what they had to give up, okay? They all had to give up something. For a lot of them, it was freedom. You know, they didn't have their summers off, or they felt more responsible to more people. So there's always this trade-off. And so what you have to do is, when you're at these transitions in life, is decide, how much are you willing to give up in order to get where you want to go? I'm a firm believer that anybody can do or be anything they want to do if they want it bad enough. And that's always the key. What are you willing to give up to get there? Okay? And this question is usually going to be answered by how you answered the first one. Okay? If you've already decided what your sense of right is, if you already have your compass that says this is the way I want to be, then that's going to tell you, am I sacrificing more than I should, or something different than I should? Does that make sense? Okay. And then the biggest thing that emerged was that sense of, I'm a grown-up now. How many of you still have those moments? I still have those moments. I can't believe I'm in charge of anybody. You know, I can't believe people are looking to me for advice. I can't believe I'm invited to speak at things. And so that sense of, you really are a grown-up now. What was interesting was, along with these realizations of, I'm a grown-up now, came something that I started to refer to as heartbeat moments, where every now and then, just for a second, these women would feel like it was all about to fall apart. They would have those moments of, who am I kidding? There's no way I can pull this off. Who decided I was smart enough to do this job? And they were very quick, and then they passed. But every woman I talked to had those momentary doubts. And in the research, we see that a lot with women. And we see something called imposter syndrome with women. I don't know if you've heard of that phrase or not, but women are much more likely to experience something called imposter syndrome, which is this feeling that you're really not good enough to be here. And pretty soon they're going to find you out. And I share with my students, I was a first-generation college student, first one in my family to ever go to college. And for the first 2 years I was there, I was convinced they were going to figure out I really wasn't that smart, and they were going to ask me to leave because that was just my own insecurities. Women, just about every study we read, women will talk about this. And it's like the dirty little secret. Once you know about it, then you find out everybody experiences it, but nobody wants to mention it because it's, you know, because then they're going to find out. So every woman I talked to had those moments, no matter how advanced she was in her career, that would still pop up every now and then. Now, usually there's other things going on. They're tired, it's a crazy time in the semester, but it was just very interesting to me that they were always there. You never completely shove those away. Now, you get better at defeating them. You get quicker at saying, psh, whatever, I got this, and moving on. But every now and then they still pop up. So again, just something to keep in mind. All right, so you got your compass. You know what you're willing to sacrifice, what you're willing to not sacrifice. And then that third big question that my women struggled with was, well, if I can get it, what am I going to do with this once I'm successful? How am I going to use my status? So the point of all this, the point of every transition in life is to make yourself better, to move yourself forward. Well, once you get there, what are you hoping the payoff is going to be? Okay, so how are you going to use your status? What's going to keep you moving forward despite the sacrifices, despite the resistance, the criticism you may face? And then once you've gotten this new status, what are you going to do with it? And so each of my women that I interviewed had a lot to say about that. Some of them talked about the perks that come along with moving yourself forward and taking yourself to a new place in life. And I had one woman who I interviewed who was very quiet and modest and very unassuming. And when we got to this stage of the conversation about, you know, status, she's the one who whipped out that line about, well, I certainly do like driving my BMW. And it kind of caught me off guard. I was like, really? And for her, that was like her reward to herself. She had splurges. She had grown up poor, so that BMW really meant something to her. And she wasn't flashy. That's what caught me off guard. She wasn't flashy at all, but she had a BMW, and she took one really nice vacation with her partner every year. And those were her rewards for getting through the sacrifices, through putting up with the criticisms. She had those things to keep her motivated and keep her going. So perks can be nice. For most of the women, though, they talked about more of it as a Achieving status is helping all of us. They all talked about hoping I can make it easier for the women who come behind me. And I always find that fascinating. If we go all the way back to the suffragettes, there's not been a generation of women who didn't have one eye looking back, hoping we've made it a little better for the group kind of coming behind us. And so all the women talked about using what they've been able to accomplish to make it easier for the next woman who comes down that path. And so I thought that was really powerful. And then all the women also talked about, as they transitioned through whatever this was, and for these women it was moving from faculty into leadership, as they moved through the transition, as they really thought about what was important to them, what they were willing to give up, what they weren't willing to give up, they all came to kind of a focal point. What was the point of it all? And for these women, it really hinged on what kind of leader they were going to be, how they were going to take care of their people. And you saw them split in two. You saw the people who were, the women who were leaders that were interested in checking things off the boxes, you know, done, 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 are you doing what you're supposed to? But the bulk of the women solidified this much bigger perspective of, my job is to help grow other people. Okay, so they moved into this role, and it became not just what am I doing for the women coming behind me, what am I doing to build up the people around me? And I think that was a very interesting story, to have come through difficulty, have faced adversity, and then used all of that in order to build up the people around you. We see that in a lot of women's stories and in a lot of women's lives. Okay. And so what we wind up with are three very interconnected questions. It's not a linear path. You don't answer one and go to the next. You don't answer them once and be done with them. As you move through life and you move through every transition that life presents you, you're going to revisit these. And what I find is, for the women who really think about them, who visit them often and kind of do gut checks, it's easier to stay on what you decide is the right path. It's the women who get busy and aren't tending to those gut checks that wake up one day and think, what am I doing? This is not where I wanted to be. And so it's very, very interesting that the more time you think about them, even if you can't figure out what your answer is right now, the more time you think about them, the more likely you are to be on a path that's true for you. And I think that's also the other big message. There's not one right path. There is a best path for you. But the only way you're going to figure that out is to head first into that storm and see what emerges. Okay? So I want to leave you with this quote, because I think it sums it up beautifully. There's something about knowing life's going to be difficult, but also knowing the difficulty is what's going to bring you all the greatness. And there's something about knowing that you have what you need to get through that. If we think of that external compass where the world tells you if you're good enough, it doesn't get us very far. But what each of these women showed me was that everything they needed was in them all along the way. They just had to kind of rediscover it. They were stronger than they thought they were. They were smarter than they thought they were. They were more giving and compassionate than they thought they were. They were more committed. But it was in them all along. They just needed a challenge to help bring it out and hone it. And so I want you today to know, number one, the world is yours. You can do whatever you want to do. And number two, what you need to do it is already within you. You already have it all, and you're already enough. You're already smart enough. You're already brave enough. You're already compassionate enough. And don't let anyone tell you otherwise. Okay? Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Yanezi. We would like to give you a token of our appreciation for your support of this special event and students at Forsyth Tech. We are so honored to have you back with us sharing such a valuable message on women in leadership. Ladies and gentlemen, it is time that we have been waiting for. Time to recognize our 2015 Women's Achievement honorees. Presenting the Students Award recipients will be Ms. Rhonda Smith Murray. Presenting the Staff Award recipients will be Mr. Emilio Castro. And presenting the Faculty Award recipients is Ms. Stephanie Martin.
Good afternoon. At this time, I would like to introduce our first Student Award honoree, Jasmine Harris. Jasmine Harris has been described as a young woman who's had her work cut out for her from the very beginning, but has risen above her challenges to pursue her personal, academic, and career goals. She is innovative in her perspective with an artistic view. She does not seek praise and recognition for her hard work or her accomplishments. This young lady's life has encouraged others, which is why she is being recognized today. She has a smile that never fades. If she is going through something challenging, you would not know it because she has very high spirits, a strong will, and never fails to have a word of encouragement. Jasmine is a college transfer student with a focus in psychology. I had the pleasure of speaking with her prior to this program, and she was doing exactly what she is doing now. I told her she's a crybaby. I asked her if it was something that she could tell me about herself, that was what she wanted to do or what she sought out. Jasmine said to me, and it was powerful for me because such a young lady. She said that through her life challenges that she wanted to be somewhere to help people where she sought help and didn't see it at the time, but she still smiles. She is persistent and always strives to reach her goal. So ladies and gentlemen, at this time, I would like to present to you 2015 Student Honoree, Ms. Jasmine Harris. You can stop crying, baby. It's all right. We're proud of you. Our next student honoree is Miss Jordan Myrick. According to her peers, Jordan Myrick is a wonderful woman who always manages to put a smile on someone's face and lights up the room with a smile. This past fall semester was her first semester at Forsyth Tech, and never have I seen someone more willing to jump in and help out and make a change. Late in the fall semester last year, Jordan was thrown into a commotion of the Student Government Association and has excelled spectacularly. Jordan has taken on a tremendous amount of responsibility and gladly faced it all. Jordan is an extremely caring person. Jordan is truly an amazing woman, and I'm extremely happy to be able to say that I know her personally. Jordan is an outgoing person, and this was my first time meeting Jordan is when the Women's Achievement Program came up and we were sitting down with the committee. Sometimes you dread going to meetings and it's like, okay, it's the same old, same old. Not with Jordan. Jordan makes things like, I'm wanting to go. I want to see Jordan. That's what I'm going for. It's not about the committee at this time. I want to see the smile on Jordan's face. And her personality is just so outstanding. And for me personally, it's been a joy to know Jordan this brief period that I have known her. At this time, Miss Jordan Myrick, she is also a 2015 Student Women's Achievement Award honoree. Give her a hand, y'all. I love you. Y'all see that smile?
Next are the staff award honorees, and our first staff award honoree is Frances Cook. Ms. Frances Cook, known to many of us as Fran Cook, is the principal of the Early College of Forsyth. She earned her bachelor's degree of science in sports medicine and physical education certification from High Point University, where she was a scholar athlete in women's soccer. Ms. Cook also earned a master's of school administration degree from Appalachian State University. Ms. Cook is a first-generation college student from Long Island, New York. She began teaching with the intention of going back to school, but to become a physical therapist. But when she entered the classroom, she realized that she had found her true passion. In March of 2008, she became the principal of the new high school, the Early College of Forsyth. Under her leadership, the Early College of Forsyth has had a 100% graduation rate, with with 3 graduating classes, and an 88% completion rate for students who receive their associate's degree through the Early College. The Early College of Forsyth was ranked in Newsweek this year as 365th in the nation out of 14,000 high schools, and ranked top 3 high schools in North Carolina. Ms. Cook is married to Dave Cook and has 2 beautiful children, Jordan, who's 12, and David, who is 11. Ms. Cook has supported students both in early college and on Forsyth Tech side in a tremendous way. She facilitates Forsyth Tech intramural soccer and volleyball during her free time, and has aligned herself with colleagues across the college for the benefit of all students. According to the students, Fran Cook is hardworking and dedicated. She spends countless hours making sure students get the education they deserve and have the support system like no other. Ms. Cook has built the Early College of Forsyth into a unique school where teachers and students inspire each other to do better in all situations. I can honestly say, without her guidance, I wouldn't be the person I am today. A student wrote these words about Ms. Cook as well. Frances Cook is one of the most amazing women I have personally ever met. Ms. Cook is the principal at the Early College of Forsyth, and I have no idea where to start when speaking about all the things she has done for her school and, more importantly, her students. Ms. Cook has put a countless amount of time and money into the success of her students, and it is because of her that the Early College of Forsyth is ranked 365th in the nation. I cannot describe how much she cares for her students, and she would help them through any challenge that comes before them. My words in describing her today do not come close to doing her justice and all the things she does for other people. She is extremely supportive in the lives of her children and family as well. Ms. Cook instills in her children the same thing that she instills in all students, and that is that they can accomplish anything they set their minds to and more, despite life's challenges. She's always running around achieving amazing things and helping people. I cannot think of one woman who is more deserving of this award than Frances Cook. There is no words that could describe the amount that she gives up for people. I know that I would not have made it through my education if it was not for her constant help and support. Every day I am eternally grateful, and I will never know how to repay the kindness she has shown me. It is for these reasons that Frances Cook is being honored for the Staff Honoree Award for the Women's Achievement. Ladies and gentlemen, Ms. Frances Cook. Thank you so much.
And I know I'm not supposed to talk, but I wouldn't be the principal I was without the support of all my school and my students.
Thank you, Ms. Cook. The second, the second staff honoree is Ms. Carrie Walters. Oh, anytime. Ms. Carrie Walters is the retention manager for the health technologies. Ms. Walters believes that showing a student how to be responsible for their success is my job. Seeing them succeed is my reward. I am a facilitator, not an enabler. Ms. Walters describes herself as a recovering English teacher who nerds out with Microsoft Excel spreadsheets. She earned a bachelor's degree of arts in English language and literature from the University of South Carolina, and now, 35 years later, in her second life, earned a master's of arts in educational media with a concentration in new media and global education. Carrie Walters has inspired students to grow and challenge themselves in order to be successful, not only in education, but in life. She is an outstanding employee who seeks unique and individualized tools to help students overcome learning obstacles. A student shares these sentiments about Ms. Walters. If students are having a problem, a personal or academic issue, Ms. Walters is willing to sit down and help the troubling student overcome the barriers. She even helps us focus. She has a positive attitude and willingness to help all struggling students discover their true potential at Forsyth Tech Community College. Another student states that Ms. Walters is caring, not just about you right now in this moment, but after that time as well. She wants you to excel academically and personally, whether that involves just the student or outside issues. She is genuine. She teaches students how to manage themselves, which is a critical part of self-fulfillment and growth. She is passionate about helping students believe in what she does and encourages students to do better than what we thought we could do. I can go further than I ever thought. I just have to take it one step at a time. This is what Carrie Walters has taught me. When a student is down at the end of the rope, you can always walk away from Ms. Walters feeling like you can conquer anything. You will be smiling and wanting to spread that infectious joy to other people. For this reason, we are proud to present the 2015 Women's Achievement Awards for the staff to Ms. Carrie Walters. And just one more round of applause I'd like to have for both our wonderful staff nominees.
I will now be presenting the faculty honorees. The first faculty honoree is Diane Griffin. Ms. Diane Griffin is the Program Coordinator for International Business in the Business Information Technology Division. She was raised just outside of New York City and moved to North Carolina to pursue her undergraduate degree, double majoring in International Studies and French. She earned a Master of Arts degree in International Affairs from George Washington University. While in D.C., she worked at Pew Research, the World Bank, and Common Grounds Productions. After receiving her master's degree, she returned to North Carolina for an MBA in international business, worked with nonprofits, small business development, and management. Ms. Griffin believes that the experience of life itself is an education, if we choose it to be. She does not see them as separate. Classroom education not only teaches information, facts, theories, equations, but the mere process should teach us to open our minds, to consider, to embrace, and to ponder new and different concepts that are foreign from our own comfort zones. There is so much in our experiences of situations in life, our interactions with people, our views of nature, that can and will teach us so much about the world, and in the end, teach us much more about ourselves. In trying to see the truths in life, there are several things I have found through my own experiences. Miss Griffin holds that if you have an open mind, you will see that doors are open for you. That it does not matter who you are or where you are from. You can always grow to be a better person and move into a better place if you proactively do so. Miss Griffin says, and I quote, "I have found that no one can take better care of you than you yourself, and that no one should define who or what you are. So empower yourself. Always set goals for yourself. Use the opportunities that present themselves to you. Do not be afraid to fail or make mistakes, and make your own smart decisions that are best for you in the long run." Miss Griffin has earned the respect of students by being an inspiration to them. Students have shared that she is a wonderful instructor whose enthusiasm and knowledge of international business inspires learning. She has the ability to get students motivated and to be active learners. One student says, "You can tell she has a passion for the subject and that she has experienced it firsthand. I have seen the dedication, heart, and the caring for students. She never made you feel that your answer wasn't good enough or that it was incorrect. Miss Griffin is polite, respectful, respected, high-spirited, engaging, active, honest, helpful, and by all accounts, entertaining, and never fails to see the best in every single one of her students." When Miss Griffin gets in front of the class, she doesn't just stand there and show us a few projections, then call it a day. She is the exact opposite. With almost every lesson, she has a story or very humorous example. Her purpose? To make learning easy, fun, and meaningful. She makes her classroom an environment where everyone wants to learn more and can't wait until our next class with her. She's here most mornings and willing to hear our ideas, knowing that no matter how old you are, there is always room to learn. Because of this, I am glad to present the Faculty Women's Achievement Recognition Award to Mrs. Diane Griffin. Our final recipient is faculty honoree, Miss Karen Weevil. Miss Karen... Miss Karen Weevil is a math instructor for the Early College of Forsyth and has worked as a teacher in the Winston-Salem Forsyth County School System for 7 years. Ms. Weevil is a chapter advisor for the local North Carolina YMCA Youth and Government program. She is a graduate of Appalachian State University. Since childhood, she has had a love for teaching and learning. She strives to teach her students lifelong lessons. Karen Weevil grew up in Kernersville, North Carolina, and is the second youngest of 5 siblings. Ms. Weevil is happily married and a mother of a toddler named Cameron. She is known for having a cheerful demeanor that brightens the days of students. I would like to take this moment to read to you what her students had to say about her. "When I first started Forsyth Tech, never in a million years would I have ever thought that one of my teachers would end up becoming one of my best friends, and that is exactly what Karen Weevil has become to me. Karen Weevil has been extremely supportive in everything I have done at Forsyth Tech, and has helped me with more math problems than I can count. There is not one student that Ms. Weevil has not had a shining impact on. Each one of her students have only talked about how helpful and amazing of an instructor she is. She is extremely dedicated to her students and gladly helps them out with whatever problems they may have. Even though she is a math teacher, your question does not have to be about math. There are times when Mrs. Weevil has stayed till 7 in the evening helping me with my math problems when class has ended at 3. Ms. Weevil loves her job because it consists of helping and teaching others. There are very few people as dedicated to helping people succeed as Karen Weevil." Another student is quoted saying that, "Karen Weevil is one of the most incredible women I have ever met. Mrs. Weevil is a teacher at the Early College of Forsyth, but her impact reaches far beyond the classroom. She shows dedication to all her students and stays after school, past her scheduled work time, at least 2 days, to help struggling students. Despite having a newborn son, she still finds time to help any student that needs her. I have never been so inspired by someone's hard work and love for their job. Ms. Weevil goes above and beyond in all aspects of her life, and this, in turn, has helped a countless number of people. It is for these reasons that we thank you, Karen Weevil, for your dedication to the success of students and present to you the Faculty Women's Achievement Recognition Award.
Let's give another round of applause to this year's Women's Achievement honorees. On behalf of the faculty, staff, and students at the college, I would like to thank each of you for supporting this program. Each year we have the honor of celebrating truly talented women through the Women's Achievement Recognition Program. I am thankful for the efforts of the Student Government Associations Council and its service arm, Alpha Mu Beta Service Fraternity, and the Women's Achievement Committee for the hard work they have put in to make today's celebration possible. Thank you to all the honorees and to the students who took the time to nominate these outstanding women. Thank you to our dedicated volunteers and everyone that made this event possible. The honoree reception will take place at this time, and you are welcome. Please join us right outside the auditorium in the lobby area for the reception. Thank you.